What's up? Welcome back to another Just the Tip Traveler Edition, where we cut out all the fluff and insert just the tip.
Ooh, gosh, you're good.
I know.
You're like a man genius.
A man genius. I'll take that. You guys heard that. I'm a man genius.
I was trying to think of something with like words.
I'm a sexual innuendo man genius.
You're like a word magician. That was smooth.
Most people call me a rapper.
Ooh.
No, anyway.
Okay.
Lyrical genius.
Things are taking a turn.
A poet.
Welcome back. This is where a poet.
I'm just
Whoa.
street poet. I don't know.
This is where we are dropping all kinds of nuggets of wisdom that pertain to the healthcare traveling community. Simple, quick things for you to think about that you can apply into your own traveling adventure, listen on your lunch break. All of the things healthcare traveling.
Yeah, we want to definitely try to keep these quick tip, like we said, to where you guys could just pop out there, listen to it on a lunch break, get everything you need to know, and bounce out.
Exactly. That is our goal. That is our mission. If you would like to dive deeper into the travel industry and learn all of the things that there is to know to set yourself up for success, then check out our online course, Traveler School. It's everything you need to know all in one place, and you can get all the details about that on kimandaaronG.com. The next launch will be December of 2019.
Yeah, and we launch about 4 times a year, so
get in, baby.
Come.
Okay, let's dive into this week's tip.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this one is all about that cash money, baby. Okay, so we're going to talk about where our money actually comes from as travelers, because we get paid very differently than a full-time employee.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how we make money, basically.
And where our money comes from.
Exactly. Okay.
And I think I want you guys to really, if you're doing something, really listen to this, because this is a huge pro tip. I mean, this is literally could change your entire existence as a traveler.
Yeah, because we're going to say where the money comes from, and then we're going to give you a huge pro tip at the end, something that you can really think about. Yeah. And again, we dive deep into all of this inside Traveler School. This is going to be like 15 minutes, but we have 2 full modules on this, so we're going to try to keep this short and sweet.
And 2 full modules, meaning like 15-minute videos, like 8 of them per module. Like, we dive deep. We leave nothing uncovered.
Exactly. Okay. So here's the cool thing about traveling, is that we have an opportunity to make really good money.
Absolutely.
And our own personal experience, we have more than doubled our weekly take-home income than from when we were full-time employees.
In Florida.
And
that is individually.
So
that means when we both work, it's quadruple.
Yes. And so one of the reasons why we get to make more money is because if you have a tax home, then you qualify to receive tax-free money as a traveler, which means less of your paycheck is being taxed, which means more money is in your pocket. So we're not going to dive into a tax home on this episode.
And what makes you eligible? That is a huge avenue.
We're assuming that you already understand that. And so we're going to talk about it as it applies. Do you have a tax home and you get tax-free money, which is really cool. Okay.
And if you don't have a tax home, then everything is taxed, and obviously you're going to lose out on some money.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So
our pay package, or what our paycheck, our weekly rate, what we get paid every week as travelers to work, is determined by a bill rate. The hospital is the person who sets the tone for how much that bill rate is going to be. So basically, they're saying, I am going to pay X amount of dollars for this traveler to come in, and I'm going to pay them this per hour for however many hours they're going to work for us. Mm-hmm. So the hospital is setting the tone, and that bill rate can be higher, it can be lower. It just depends on the area, the hospital, the location, the needs, the demands, the market. So many different things can change the actual how much it is.
And a lot of times your recruiter will also bid for these bill rates, but they're putting out the bill rate that they feel the hospital will accept,
right,
to get you the job.
Right.
And so the hospital is the one that has the final word.
Exactly. They're the ones who set the tone.
Not the company. A lot of people think it's the company.
No. So how do we calculate the bill rate, or how do we calculate a pot of cash? So the bill rate the hourly amount that they're going to pay for the traveler to come in, you're going to multiply that by however many hours that you're working. So let's say that you're working a 13-week contract and you're working 40 hours a week. That is pretty standard. And just a side note here, it's very normal for you as the traveler to not know the bill rate.
Yes.
It's not something that your recruiter is saying, okay, the bill rate's $70. Like most of the time you will not know that information. A lot of companies have policies. They do not disclose that information. It's just the way it is. Like it or not, it's the way it is. And so they're doing this all on the background back end, figuring out what the pot of cash is going to be for this particular contract. Okay. Yeah. So let's say the bill rate is $70 an hour. And so you take $70 an hour times 520 hours, because that's 13 weeks at 40 hours a week. And that pot of cash is $36,400.
Now,
which
mind
is a
you,
shit ton of money.
It's a shit ton of money for 3 months. I mean, if you look at that. Go ahead.
So that $36,400 is, again, what the hospital is willing to pay this company to have a traveler come in and help them and work for them. And they're saying, we'll give you $36,000 and you give us a traveler. Mm-hmm. Granted, it doesn't work like that. They don't give it all up front. But essentially, that's the pot of cash that now the company has to work with from the get.
Right.
Okay? Are we on the same page?
Yeah, I hope so.
We're going to break this down a little bit more here.
Yeah. And so now, according to your pay package, one thing you have to think about is the company has to keep the lights on and they have to pay the recruiter. So right off, go ahead.
I just want to say that $36,000 isn't your money. So I just want to be very clear on that. Like, not that all is not your money. That's just the pot of cash the company is dealing with. So now we're going to break down how we go through that. But just know that ain't all your money, baby. Okay?
No, so that's been done on the back end. They say I have an IR or ultrasound traveler or whatever you do, nurse traveler. And the hospital's like, we'll pay $70 an hour for this traveler. So now 20 to 30% of that is taken off the top, right off the bat, for the company to keep the lights on, to pay the recruiters, to pay the bills, to pay profits, to pay, taxes that they have to pay. And that might leave you with $50 an hour. Now with that $50 an hour, you times out and you make all that kind of money, and you have that pot. And so now that's what you're working with. Your pot is going to be broken up into... So go ahead.
Can I interject here for a second?
I was rolling.
Because I want to make sure this is super clear. So, perfect. Again, we have $36,000 from the beginning. When the company comes in and they're taking this money out to pay for all of their own stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And the recruiter has to get paid. Everybody has to get paid. Whatever is left over is your chunk of cash.
Yes.
Whatever is left over. Now the company's taken theirs, and let's say now there's only $25,000 left over. They've taken $11,000. You're left with $25,000. That $25,000 is now your pot of cash. That is your money, and now your pay package will be based on the $25,000.
Absolutely. Okay. And I think under I was going to say something I totally forgot. But, Anyway, so now you have the option to really talk to your, what I wanted to say was, we're using numbers like this. They're just totally made up. So this isn't like...
It's just to keep it easy.
It's just to keep it easy. That's what I wanted to say. It's a little asterisk there.
Yeah.
But basically, now you have that $25,000 pot that Kim and I in Traveler School, we take it out of Mr. Peanut. Mm-hmm. Laura from Nomadicare, she takes it, a coffee pot. Everybody teaches it differently with different props. But for the sake of no visualization, you're left with that $25,000. Now... that's where you start dividing things up. And that's why as travelers, if you do have that tax home, you want to try to put as much money as you possibly can into non-taxable income. Or not, you can't even call it income, it's stipends. Mm-hmm. So basically, we negotiate a lower hourly rate. So no lower than $18 to $20 an hour is basically a baseline. So with that being said, your hourly rate and your on-call are the only things that are taxed. Everything else is tax-free stipends. And that is housing, meals and incidentals, travel reimbursement, and sometimes like a travel sign-on bonus that can be non-taxed. Sometimes.
Right. So now you will build a pay package, you and your recruiter. And again, we're not going to get into the ins and outs of how you can do that because, that's a whole nother thing. But that is going to be now how you will build your package. What will be your hourly? What will be, your housing stipend, which again, they go off gsa.gov and they'll, hopefully be able to max that out. Not always, depending on the bill rate, whatever. But you'll build your pay package around this number. And that will be your weekly take home. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's how it works. And it's all coming out of that initial bill rate. Again, is setting the tone for how much cash you're going to be putting in your pocket every single month.
Right.
Okay. Or every single week.
Right.
So here's the pro tip.
Yep. So pro tip number 1, understanding, I think for me too, I think we're going to get in, I wanted to say this, but there's no such thing as free money. Okay, a lot of companies will say you get PTO, or we're going to send you a pizza on your birthday, and all these type of things. They throw in all of these perks.
I think the worst though is like free housing.
Free housing.
Like it's such a marketing thing.
Yeah, like I get a free car.
There's
like,
a free flight. Free travel. They're going to pay for me. Like all of that. There's no free money. There's nothing is free. If you take anything away from this, know that everything that is being provided for you for this contract is coming out of that pot of cash.
And what really kills me is we see it in groups all the time, and it just boils my blood. But people are like, man, they're not paying for your uniforms. Like, they should be paying for your uniforms, and they should be doing this, and my company paid for my uniforms. And it's like, that came out of your bill rate.
Yeah.
Like, that was your money to begin with. And they say, oh, no, we'll cover that for you. Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
We'll cover it. Sure.
You. Unless, maybe a company has put a certain amount of money aside for, like, that comes out of the money they're taking that they put aside that can go towards these incentives.
Absolutely.
To give their travelers. That is always an option depending on the company and who you are working for. But just as kind of a blanket statement, 9 times out of 10, everything is coming out of your pay package. PTO is they're just taking it off the front end, mm-hmm. right? And they're taking that money up front and then they're saving it for you for a rainy day. But that was already your money to begin with. That was already coming from your pot of cash.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you refer a friend and they get paid, they take that off your friend's bill rate,
right? To
give you the $1,000, $500 referral bonus.
And not all companies do that again, but these are examples of things that do happen.
Just really think about this. So if you really go into this thinking that there's no such thing as free money, and you have the talk with your recruiter asking like where this money comes from, and I really expect you to give me the highest like pay package possible, and
based
in turn,
on the bill rate.
Based off the bill rate, and I am going to, in turn, be an amazing traveler for you, which builds a long-term relationship. That's as far as you can really go with building trust and doing your pay package.
Right, and I think it's just smart to try to do everything on your own.
That's the pro tip, people.
So, yeah, do everything on your own. It's going to take, and what do I mean by doing everything on your own? Finding your own housing, getting to your contract on your own, whether that's driving, whether that's flying, get there on your own, rent your own car, because by doing that, you're going to save yourself so much more money on the back end than them doing it for you, because they are going to take more than what it actually costs most of the time.
And did you guys hear that? 9.99999 out of 10, you will find things cheaper. Yes, it will be more work, but you will find it significantly cheaper than what the company would say free.
Yep. And like, for instance, as an example, we were in San Diego and we only had, one car and we were both working. So we had to rent a car. And so the company was going to take...
We'll provide you a rental car.
Yeah. We got you. We'll get you a rental car. And they were going to take... I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was well over $1,000 a month. From my package, from my weekly take home. It broke down to well over $1,000 a month. And I'm like, damn, that's really expensive. So I'm like, you know what? I'll figure this out. I will do this myself. I will find a car. And
throw all that money back in my
Yep, I said,
bill
don't
rate.
worry about it. I'll figure it out. I don't want you to pay for anything. And they said, okay, cool. They put everything back into my pay package. I ended up finding a rental place, a used car rental place, and I rented my car for less than $400 a month.
You paid $395 a month
for this car. And so that's huge. So
that's a $700 a month savings, $2,100 over the course of your contract.
Yeah, so that's a lot of money. And so it was just me simply saying, I will handle everything on my own. You know, we got our own housing, we got everything on our own. Give me as much money as you possibly can up front based off the bill rate, and we'll figure it out. And you are always usually 99% of the time going to save money.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a quick story too as well. We had a traveler school student that called me because they threw a pay package at her with like 4 different scenarios where they were going to pay for the flight, the rental car, and housing, and then they're like, we'll pay for your rental car and flight, but you find your own housing, and then like all 3 and all these kind of things, and it was so confusing. I ended up just like talking to her and saying, are you okay with finding your own housing? She was like, yes. And I was like, are you okay with going on and finding your own flight? She was like, yes. I was like, cool, let's start looking at that. So we started to get a ballpark of what the flight would be from where she needed to go to her contract. And I said, let's look up rental cars real quick and let's see what the roundabout thing is. Do you feel like you could get a rental car or find a friend or something? She said, yes. Ended up, when she took all of that out and did not let the company do anything, she said, just put as much money as you can into my bill rate, into my weekly, pay package. I'll do everything myself. I ended up even restructuring a couple more things and making her $235 extra a week. If you times that by 13 weeks, it's an ungodly amount of money that she would have been gypped because she didn't understand how we get paid.
Yeah. Which is crazy, right? Like that
would have just went in the company's pocket.
Exactly. Like nobody wins there.
Right.
The company wins.
Yeah.
We took corporate housing one time. And again, this is an example of us not doing it ourselves and us showing up and having the company set everything up for us. And our housing stipend
$2,600 a month.
$2,600 a month, okay? That's how much it was, and that's how much they took to put us up in the house. And we ended up, going into the office and seeing how much our apartment would have been rented for. And it was what, like $1,800? And now granted they did put furniture in, but furniture is like $200 a month. Yeah. So that's $2,000. So basically it was like $800 a month that we had missed out on because we didn't do it ourselves. Now, granted, we made that decision because we didn't want to have to put down a deposit. We didn't want to have to pay first month's rent. We didn't want to do anything on the front end because we didn't have the money. And so it was just an easier option for that time. But in like the long game, we ended up losing $800 a month.
Well, right. And that was our 3rd contract and first time in the Bay Area. And we were coming off a long trip. And that is the only time we've taken corporate housing in 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's more than 7 years.
Yeah. So anyways, hopefully this is helpful. We dive really deep into pay and all that stuff, negotiating, making the most money inside Traveler School. And even in our Facebook group, we have some videos and stuff.
But again, when you understand this, the power comes back to you. You're an empowered traveler. It's not about knowing the details, it's knowing why and how this stuff works. And that is what on the back end ends up putting more money into your pocket, less worry in your mind, and a more positive adventure.
Love it. We'll end on that note.
Yep.
Hope you liked this quick tip.
Quick tip. Just the tip, Traveler Edition.
Quickie style.
Where we throw out the fluff.
And just enter the tip. Okay.
Anyway.
Please share this with a friend. Share with your travel friends. Let them know about this podcast, what you like about it. Leave us a review with your feedback. We love hearing from you guys. It supports us while we keep showing up and hopefully adding value to your weekly life. Yep. So we will see you next time on Just the Tip.
Traveler Edition.
Quickie style.
Deuces.